Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily. On today's show we've got part 2 of our rope maintenance series with Tendon ambassador and mountain guide Cosmin Andron. Today he takes us through fall factors and rope breaking points.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Cosmin, Tendon ambassador and mountain guide. This week I'll talk to you about how falls affect the rope and what kind of rope to choose based on your type of climbing. You've all heard of fall factors and you know that they affect the resistance of a rope. Basically, you have two types, factor 1 and factor 2. And you know that factor 2 is bad, factor 1 is normal. You've also noticed on the prospects that come with each rope that they have a maximum number of falls. And that will make you think that probably they break after that number of falls. In real life, due to the meandering way of the pitches and the friction between rope and quick draws and rock, only the last few meters, usually around the last 2 quick draws, are those affected by the fall factor and not the entire length of the rope spread over the pitch. So this is something you have to keep in mind when thinking about the fall factor. It's not enough to have 30 meters of rope stretch, it's also how easy that rope stretches between the climber and the belayer, and if it's any sharp angles or any extra friction in it. If the body falls from one end to the other of the rope, and then the whole weight falls onto this single stretch of rope, then we're talking about a factor 2. Basically, you have a 10-meter fall caught by 5 meters of rope. If, however, somewhere in the middle, you have a fraction point where the rope bends, then that distance is halved, so you have more rope catching a shorter fall. This is good for the body in the first place and then for the rope. So just to close with the fall factor, what you need to keep in mind mostly is not how much the rope can take the beating on a fall factor when you're talking about sport climbing or alpine climbing, but how much your body can take the shock in a fall. So now to the scary question, when does a rope break? It has very little to do with the diameter of the rope, but more to do with the sharp edges over each passes. If the rock is very coarse and sharp, like granite, it has more chances for the rope to be cut than running over a very dull, rounded limestone edge. So, whenever climbing, instead of thinking of the length of your fall, always think to the edges where the rope can go over and how would they affect the resistance of your rope. So a rope of 10.5 millimeters that passes 8-9 times over a very sharp granite edge can cut the rope much faster than 9 millimeter on 8 millimeter that goes over a dull limestone edge. So every time when you put your rope in a quick draw and you climb the pitch, please think, if you fall, will that rope go over an edge and what kind of edge is it? So last thing to consider on this topic is that a wet rope creates more friction between the rock and itself, and the chances for it to break at the last number of passes over the edge is much higher. So keep your ropes dry if possible, and if they're wet, always stay away from edges. So these are some things to consider about rope durability and use. For more information, follow this series and check out the Tendon website.